Woo Jin-Chul legit paused mid-stride, looked at his men and said, "Y'all feel that, right? Because whatever was behind that gate wasn't just strong, it was on some ancient god-type level." He checked the guild lineup. Hunter Guild was locked and loaded, and the big names were showing up to play Mami Cha and discounted Aizen, Choi Jong. In greenlighting the raid, he gave the go-ahead because whatever was going on in there wasn't going to wait for backup. Meanwhile, inside, Drippy Woo was already getting smacked across the room by that emo Mothman known as the Architect. His wings morphed into hands, fists moving faster than common sense. Rizzy Woo then got chased down by a barrage of punches like he owed the system child support. But even while blocking, he wasn't breaking. The Architect looked shocked, like, "Bro, you're not supposed to survive this." And our boy hit him with a comeback punch so nasty it made the Architect backpedal like he'd just seen IRS papers. The Architect started giggling like a psycho and said, "Damn, maybe humans aren't completely trash." And Drippy Woo knew this dude underestimated him from the start. "You thought I'd flop at level 100. You thought wrong." Rizzy Woo wanted answers and demanded to know why he was chosen, why the system existed, and what kind of hell this world was walking into. The Architect laughed again and dropped the coldest line ever. "Maybe you think you might not get the answers if you kill me," and started closing in the distance between them. Rizzy Woo tried to fight from range and tried to use the commander's touch, but the Architect saw through that and hit him with an AoE blast like he was the main character now. Turns out Emo Birdman had access to the same hacks as our king, meaning ranged combat was now a no-go. Birdman then told Jin-Woo not to hold back, as even if he kills him, he'll get his answers. As the answers he is seeking, he'll get them regardless if this Birdman is alive or dead. This is how he had designed the system. Jin-Woo asked the Birdman how he was able to design shit like that, and more importantly, why he chose him. But the Architect hit him with a plot twist, telling Jin-Woo that he hadn't chosen him, saying that he was against it from the start. "You were picked by the system itself." Now 6 minutes on the death clock were left, and Rizzy Woo had no time to play nice. The Architect ascended like some divine final boss, telling Jin-Woo that for the rest of the time he was about to go all out. But Drippy Woo activated his Ultra Instinct senses. His movements became untouchable, dodging every hit like he'd been waiting his whole life for this fight. Seeing my boy move, the Architect got an existential crisis. He was using full force, and yet Jin-Woo wasn't just blocking his attack, but was also able to respond with attacks of his own. That wasn't how this fight was supposed to go. Then Jin-Woo struck the Architect clean and then cut his damn arm off with no hesitation. That's when it hit. The Architect realized, oh shit, this body may be fake, but that pain is real. And worse, the thing inside Drippy Woo, the reason he was chosen, was starting to show. The fact that a mere human had hurt him, Birdman wasn't thrilled about that fact. He screamed, "How dare you? You're just a human, and you summoned every single stone soldier like it was Black Friday at Hellmart." The death clock was ticking fast, and now there are only 3 minutes left. Rizzy Woo didn't flinch. He rushed in again. Shadows flying, weapons flying, authority flying, arms flying, everything flying. This was no longer a test. This was war. A stone fist the size of a truck swings at Rizzy Woo and misses by a pixel. The aura farmer slips past it like he's glitching reality and slices off another one of the Architect's arms like it's a Fruit Ninja moment. The Architect flings him into a wall, but our king just shrugs it off because guess what? His trauma just walked into the room. That giant stone soldier who once gave him a one-way ticket to the ICU was back, and Drippy Woo didn't hesitate. This fucker needed special treatment. He elbowed that oversized gravel gremlin straight into oblivion, skull split, and pride shattered. 2 minutes left on the death clock, and Rizzy Woo wasn't wasting a second. He turned back to the Architect and poured every gram of smoke into a final attack. The explosion that followed looked like a Michael Bay wet dream, and when the dust settled, the Architect was folded. Rizzy Woo stood there like the last boss of existence. The Architect muttered, telling Jin-Woo that the answers he was seeking lay within him, while Jin-Woo thought to himself, "What is this? A fortune cookie quest." Then came the prompt. "Data will be retrieved." Except Rizzy Woo hesitated but clicked yes. The world went on a full DMT trip. Colors warped, lights flashed, and next thing you know, my glorious king was floating in ghost mode over a landscape straight out of Elden Ring. An entire army of monsters stretched below him. Every race, from goblins to ice elves, lined up like they were about to drop the worst mixtape ever. and all of them were staring upward toward a sky that screamed war. Then he saw it too. Looking up, he saw a floating cosmic door with the aura of a final chapter. Seeing the monsters, Jin-Woo thought to himself how humanity was clapped if these bastards were to come out of the gates. Behind the doors came the descent of the silver soldiers, angels with blades and wings shining like tax-evading gods. They dropped down and turned the battlefield into a bloodbath. Monster limbs flying, silver blades flashing, war cries melting into screams of pain. The monsters were getting wrecked until everything stopped dead. It was high time the Shadow Daddy himself made his grand entrance with the aura so heavy, a black hole pales in comparison. He activated the domain of a monarch. Jin-Woo stared as this dark-robed menace started using his skill. Shadow extraction, turning the dead into an army of undead demons, dripping in vengeance and black smoke. These weren't just minions. They were monsters with trauma and an upgrade plan. The silver soldiers got overwhelmed. One slash from the monarch felt like gravity collapsing. His dominion's authority was bending the entire field. Shadow soldiers dropped, then rose, then dropped, then rose again like a horror loop. Jin-Woo watched as this entity walked through the battlefield like death incarnate, carving through divine forces like he was bored. And just when you think it's over, when victory feels one frame away, the game says, nah, the plot's not done yet. Meanwhile, back at the double dungeon, Woo Jin-Chul shows up with the Avengers of Korea, Mommy Cha and Pretty Boy Choi in tow. But the moment they feel the mana leaking from the chamber, everyone freezes. Cha narrows her eyes. She could sense that something was wrong with this mana. That mana they were sensing wasn't Jin-Woo's. So then whose the hell is it? And when they step inside, they find out just how deep this rabbit hole goes. As they stepped inside, they saw shattered statues lying scattered like leftovers from a god's tantrum. Woo Jin-Chul steps in, looking like a tax auditor for ancient curses, remembering what Jin-Woo and the others had told him about the double dungeon, and mutters, so it was all true. The statues were real as he was busy having an existential crisis. A voice slithers through the air, all smug and creepy. The Birdman said, I don't recall inviting humans here. Seeing the bird guy talk, the hunters got surprised, wondering how a monster was capable of human speech. The architect slides in like a villain auditioning for Broadway and tells them to shut up. How dare they disturb the king's nap? The hunters started wondering which king bro's talking. Did the fucker summon Dracula in the back corner or something? That's when they see him. Jin-Woo standing there quiet, not dead, not moving, just radiating that dormant boss energy like he's buffering an apocalypse. Then shit pops off. The architect zips through the hunters like a blender on cocaine. Two poor hunters weren't able to make it. He screams these humans will make perfect offerings, and everyone suddenly remembers they forgot to write a will. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo's mind is out there on Netflix original time. Witnessing the Council of Villains pull up, portals open, and monarch armies start marching out like this is the halftime show of hell. Queratia, the Plague Monarch, Baran, the Demon King, Rakan, the Beast Monarch, and a whole zoo of other nightmare CEOs. The Beast Monarch even sends his furry, oversized wolf to snarl in high definition. The monarchs gathered before the Shadow Daddy shit was about to get real. Back in the dungeon, it's hell on earth. The hunters are scrambling, and Choi's yelling for formation. While the healer is busy healing the wounded, the architect's just monologuing like he's got plot armor. He tells them if they survive, they'll witness the king's rebirth. Then that giant menace stood up, shooting lasers, trying to roast the hunters alive. Choi told the hunters to be careful as the boulder for brains started messing up the battlefield. The discounted Ainz clapped back with firepower of his own, trying to create a diversion for the other hunters. Jin-Chul tried punching the stone statues to oblivion, but as his fist made contact, he realized that these bastards are a lot sturdier than he thought. When Choi came to his rescue and hit the statue with a fireball, he told Jin-Chul and the others to be careful, as these stone bastards have a high resistance to physical attacks. But then he realized that these bastards are immune to magic as well. Mommy Cha was also struggling as well. She, turning to Choi, told him that taunt skill was also not working on these bastards. In short, nothing was working against these bastards. Seeing that nothing was working against them, a discounted Ainz with a skill issue thought of waking up Jin-Woo, as he was their only chance to walk out alive of this mess. But the stone bastard stopped the fireball before it could hit Jin-Woo. Then, flexing his aura, he charged at Choi, all pissed as to how he could attack the king in his sleep. Charging at the Birdman, the hunters told Mommy Cha that they'll try to hold this bastard while telling her to wake my glorious king. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo was still in the dream realm, observing the Shadow Daddy fight. Seeing him fight, Jin-Woo can't help but compare himself to him, thinking how he doesn't even compare to him. That dude is packing power on a different level. Seeing the monster and the shadow fight each other, he wondered what the hell was happening here, as this fight was between them and the Silver Soldiers. But then it clicked that these guys betrayed Shadow Daddy. And oh boy, did these bastards take it too far? You don't kill a man's horse unless you have a death wish. Walking up to the Demon King, Baran Shadow Daddy was pissed as hell. He asked Baran why they betrayed him, as today they could have ended this war for good if they hadn't pulled this shit. But that bastard just smirked and blabbed some random nonsense. Shadow Daddy got even madder and repeated his question with murder in his eyes. Baran didn't think it was serious. Instead, he blabbed some random nonsense in monster language, and all it did was to piss the Shadow Daddy off even more. Grabbing Baran with Commander's touch, he squeezed that bastard's dome like a stress ball under deadline pressure. Then, pop like a soda can, Baran's helmet and skull got yeeted out of existence. Shadow Daddy had deleted Baran's existence in the most badass way possible. Jin-Woo clocked it. That's Baran the Demon King, the one from the Demon Castle. Except this time, there wasn't any lag between past and present because now Jin-Woo was seeing it from inside the POV cam. 1 second he's watching Shadow Daddy vibe check monarchs, and the next thing he knows he's looking down at his own hands drenched in villain juice. Realization hit like a freight train. This wasn't just a vision anymore. That was him. And then it got weirder. Jin-Woo's chest thumped like it was running on dual processors. Suddenly 2 heartbeats echoed inside him. One heart felt like it belonged to him. The other one was pulsing with something ancient. As Jin-Woo processed this fever dream power-up DLC, he looked up and boom, more Silver Soldiers were pulling up from the gate. As the last of the Silver Soldiers descended from the gate, the system hit Jin-Woo with the notification that the playback had ended. Meanwhile, back in the dungeon, Birdbrain was grinning, as this was the second time today someone had managed to amuse him. He looks at Mommy Cha and says that she is an interesting one. Then his manic side takes over. He told Mommy Cha to go beyond his design a little more, whatever that meant. Mommy Cha, meanwhile, activated her sword dance ability, ready to defend herself if needed. As she activated it, Birdbrain here lost his shit, clashing his sword with Mommy Cha. This motherfucker managed to hit her as she took a step back. He pointed his sword at her and said, "Is this all you are capable of?" Then he drops Aizen's line, saying how everything is going according to his plan. Discounted Aizen was seeing all this. He wanted to rush to Mommy Cha's side to defend her, but then the Birdbrain started boasting about his system, saying how it was capable of predicting and responding to everything. Seeing the struggling hunters, he said how they won't be able to break his creation with their toys and feeble attempts. By now, he had grown bored. The disgruntled Ainz decided it was time he himself did something. He shot the bastard with a fireball that had all the impact of a wet fart in a hurricane and told Mommy Cha that they have to wake my glorious king, because if they want to return in one piece. As he drew Birdbrain's attention, Mommy Cha rushed to wake up her husband. Though the architect didn't pay any attention to Choi, he went straight in pursuit to grab Mommy Cha. He smashed the ground, and Mommy Cha barely managed to dodge that by a hair's breadth. Seeing how she had managed to dodge his attack even in her busted-up state, he once again grinned, clearly impressed by her. That's when the Birdbrain noticed a shadow hanging beside Mommy Cha. Since it can't come out because of the rules of the dungeon, but he was able to feel its existence, he was curious as to why Jin-Woo would have done it. So he asked Mommy Cha what her relationship was with my glorious king. Without wasting any time, Mommy Cha replied that he was a friend and told him that she had come here to rescue him. Amused by her fearless answer, Birdbrain decided he would gift her a once-in-a-lifetime trauma. He told her that today a great monarch would descend upon this world, and she would have the honor of witnessing it, with the small catch that everyone here would have to die first. By now, the giant statues had overwhelmed the hunters, and things were looking grim. Birdbrain then opened his mouth to blabber more nonsense, but my glorious king had finally had enough. Jin-Woo, risen from the shadows like tax season, absolutely pulverized the Birdbrain with a punch that probably sent him flying into next Tuesday. Slamming him to the ground, Jin-Woo demanded to know what the hell the architect had done to his body. The other hunters, watching this beatdown unfold, were in disbelief. Even Mommy Cha was low-key blushing. Jin-Woo pinned the bird brain down harder, pressing his foot against the bird's smug little face, shattering it like cheap porcelain. With pure horror on his twisted beak, the architect gasped that Jin-Woo wasn't the king he was expecting. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo just kept staring him down, not even bothering to answer. The architect finally asked how Jin-Woo had regained consciousness with a black heart embedded in him. Jin-Woo, lost in the godlike amount of mana flooding through his veins, realized the truth. This was the doing of the black heart. A system panel popped up confirming it, casually dropping the bomb that his mana had shot up by a casual 100,000 points. Seeing Birdbrain's face twist in panic, Jin-Woo realized this outcome definitely wasn't in the script. Thinking back to the recall data, he realized he still didn't have all the pieces to this janky-ass puzzle. Jin-Woo wanted answers. Remembering Birdbrain had objected to him becoming a player, he demanded to know what the hell a player actually was and what Birdbrain's creepy little plan had been. But the architect wasn't listening. He was too busy having a breakdown, screaming about how Shadow Daddy had double-crossed him. Jin-Woo, done with the dramatics, summoned his daggers and pinned him deeper into the ground. Seeing Jin-Woo's bloodlust, the architect, being the dumbass that he is, tried acting smug, saying that if Jin-Woo killed him, nobody would be able to stop the statues now. Jin-Woo, dead-eyed and done with everyone's bullshit, simply replied that if he killed him, he'd kill his stupid statues next. The architect stammered that he was vital to the system's existence, but Jin-Woo shut him up instantly, saying he had already thought about it and came to the conclusion that the system wouldn't collapse just because one bird-brained moron got sent to hell. Without hesitation, Jin-Woo began forcibly taking over the system itself. The architect, looking horrified, tried using his administrator access, but the system wasn't listening anymore. It belonged to Jin-Woo now. Watching Birdbrain lose every ounce of dignity, Jin-Woo smirked coldly and said that once he had thought he needed the system as much as the system needed him, but now he would devour it whole. Mocking the architect one last time, Jin-Woo said his design wasn't perfect after all before activating Mutilate and absolutely dicing the bastard into tiny pieces like. As he bled out, Birdbrain croaked out a final prophecy, talking about how, when the pillars of fire that hold up the heavens are raised, death would come for Jin-Woo. My glorious king just smiled, not giving a single shit, and said, "Let it come." Outside the dungeon, the association members were waiting. It had been an hour since the Hunter Guild's elites marched in like they owned the place, and now the silence was stretching longer than a one-piece filler arc. Just when the anxiety was about to start a group therapy session, the hunters finally stumbled back out, and holy hell, they looked like they got sent through a blender on hard mode. Even the elite squads looked one bad sneeze away from dropping dead. The officials stared at them, thinking, what the actual fuck happened inside a C-rank gate? Woo Jin-Chul marched up to the Bravery Guild members and told them to help move the corpses. Shocked but too traumatized to argue, they nodded like NPCs accepting a side quest they didn't want. Behind the circus of sadness, Jin-Woo strolled out of the gate, lost in his own head. With the system architect deleted from existence, he still didn't have the answers he craved. Woo Jin-Chul pulled him aside, informing him that nearly 20 top-ranked hunters had body-bagged themselves today, and if this had been a dungeon break, the city would have been serving monster meat for breakfast. He then asked how Jin-Woo even knew about the double dungeon. Jin-Woo shrugged and told him that the dungeon had summoned him here. Finding his answer odd, Jin-Chul asked Jin-Woo if that's the case, he wants to see that message. Jin-Woo told him that he couldn't help him with that since the message was only visible in his head. As things were already bad enough, Jin-Chul decided not to press anymore. By the looks of it, he had realized that Jin-Woo wasn't making things up. Just then, Mommy Cha slid into frame, checking if Jin-Woo was okay. Jin-Woo told her that he was fine, but then all the exhaustion caught up to him and he fell to the ground. Meanwhile, across the sea in Japan, an entirely different circus was setting up. Trucks loaded with mana crystals were being hauled toward the S-rank gate, like someone was trying to summon Cthulhu with Amazon Prime. Yuri Orlov, standing there with the smugness of a man who's never been slapped, declared that 200,000 tons of mana crystals should be enough to charge up the magic circle he crafted. The moment he activated it, the barrier began sucking up magic at an alarming rate, but the vibes shifted fast. Yuri paused, feeling something off. When one of his guys asked if everything was chill, Yuri said the barrier was perfect, but he could sense something. And when they asked who it was, Yuri dropped the ominous, "I never said it was a person." From a rooftop nearby, a figure watched them like the last boss spawning early, Sung Il-hwan. He smirked, realizing everything was clicking into place for a disaster so massive even God was probably side-eyeing it. Down below, Kana nervously asked Sugimoto why the military was rolling out tanks, even though guns against monsters were useless. Sugimoto, dead serious, said that if Yuri failed, they would need to stall the monsters long enough for the hunters to prepare. Kana realized the soldiers were nothing more than sacrificial pawns, bait thrown to the slaughterhouse. Sugimoto, with his gaze pinned to the ominous gate, muttered that as long as they stood at the front lines, they weren't much different. This wasn't a battle. It was a funeral march where humanity showed just how fragile it was against disasters that made even God probably say, "Good luck, idiots."